everybody, and welcome to Guitar Hunter Live on, it is a very snowy Friday for me. It's probably not snowing for you, but where are you coming from? How are you? Hey, some fun friends here. T-Bone, and T-Bone from Phoenix. Hey, buddy. And Jeff is from Northern Canada. And then Sebastian, Florida. Northern California. And evening all from Paisley, Scotty Butland. Music and friendship. Hey, buddy. Oh, the clinking of beers. Man, we have much to rejoice today. I'll tell you a story I hadn't planned on telling, but in the name of music and friendship. So my assistant is Skylar, and she is a dear friend. She helps with so many of the details around Guitar Hunter. She's also married to one of my oldest and best friends in the whole world. About a year ago, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and she went through chemo, and they treated her cancer, and she was in remission for 6 months. At her 6-month scan in November, they found that she had 3 spots on her liver, and it was very serious, and so they had to immediately stop everything. They ended up moving from Atlanta back here to Virginia, and they hit it really hard with chemo the last little bit, and she got her scans on Thursday of last week, and the 2 tumors are gone, and the other mass is half the size it was, and this is amazing. And so they're going to hit it with a couple more rounds of chemo, and then by the middle of next month, they should be able to do surgery, and then from there, she should be cancer-free. And it's amazing. So it's a ton of answered prayers. Everyone we know, we've been asking them to pray. And it's amazing. So we have much to celebrate. So, Matt, I'm super excited that you're here. I'm glad that we get to celebrate. And music and friendship really does make the world a better place. And I'm so glad that you guys are here. Jose! Hey, buddy. How are you? 76 degrees in Southern California. It's 22 here now. We're supposed to get 4 to 6 inches of rain from West Yorkshire. Steven, I promise I will get these guitars back to you. I have had 3 guitars from Steven for a while. I got sick. We had some kids sick. I had to travel. And but anyway, Showalter guitars, they're so cool and so great. I have 2 oak guitars, 1 walnut back and sides, and then 2 have sycamore tops, and 1 has a Sitka spruce top. So I have 1 more video to film, which I plan to do on Monday or Tuesday. And but anyway, yeah, everything's good here. And yes, absolutely, we're so excited. Yeah, so after I finish this, I have to return. I'm renting a camera this week because I bought a new camera, and in the time, it's one of those, I sold it through one of those websites where you trade gear in. So I had to send my camera in last week. I had to travel to Nashville this week, and by the time all the details worked out, there was like a 6-day window in which I wouldn't have a camera, so I had to rent one. So after this, I'll go return this camera, I'll ship it back out, and then we're going to go pick up some pizzas and go freaking party with our friends who are almost cancer-free. And so, anyway, it's great. It's a good... Raymond Alexander, Chube himself, is here. Hey, buddy. That's so good. I love seeing names. So Raymond is a dear old friend. I knew him when he was in high school, and I was leading Young Life, and he's awesome and hilarious and super talented. So I'm glad you're here, man. And Mr. Robert Coughlin, Bobby Coughlin, I don't know if anyone calls you Bobby, from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I love the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I mean, one of my favorite places to be is on the beach in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. That's just one of my favorite places. Because I was there right after Katrina, like 2 weeks after Katrina. And it was very intense and just desolated. And then to come back, especially like Long Beach and Ocean Springs and all that, they've just done such a good job bringing life and vitality back to the beach right down there on the coast. So, today's going to be a fun video. I think today, Jansen, yeah, buddy. Jansen, you're on such a hot streak. Jansen just posted some amazing pictures of, just posted a couple pictures of some D18s And then a bunch of cool stuff. John Schultz found a great 53 Les Paul. And what was the amp? Was it a Bandmaster? Who follows true vintage guitar? It was a Bandmaster. It was something really cool that he found. Tom's still in Chicago, huh? That's awesome. Yeah, it's super snowy here. I'm glad it's snowy there. And, yeah, man. So, Rich says, how can I show you a custom Gibson acoustic to get a value on it? The best way to get time with me throughout the week is to go to my website and go to the contact page. You can schedule a video call with me. That way I can see the guitar and I can ask questions as we're doing it. And there is like a cost to that, but I try to keep that down. It's actually more expensive the less time you want. So anyway, that's the best way to get together. Because at this point I just get so many emails and so many DMs. And as you can see, I have just so much stuff going on behind me. Yeah, hope that answers your question. Couple people from Chicago. Old Chicago. Kirkland Lake. Oh, they're talking about something in Northern California. Yeah, this week I was in Nashville Sunday through Wednesday, and I have never caught up this week. I have been just frantically busy all week long. So I didn't really have a ton of a plan. I didn't have a ton of a plan for what we were going to do on the live show today. But my plan is for us to go through. I want to have just a fun experiment in which I hold up guitars, you ask me questions, you ask to see things, and we'll walk through all of these different guitars. There are 6 guitars that I picked up, and they're all in the process of getting fixed and restrung and cleaned up and ready to go, and they will be for sale starting next week. I've already had tons of people ask about them, but before we do this, I figured it'd be fun to just stretch some muscles, build some muscles, get some experience around just looking at guitars, asking questions in a place that is safe, and I will give you any advice I have. And I don't know everything about this, but there are people in the chat that definitely do. Jansen is amazing with 50s Gibsons. And yeah, I think most everything's Gibson. There's an old P bass I don't know much about, so I would invite input on that. And there's a classical that I know very little about. So, anyway, Charlie says, do you remember that Guild F20 at a pawn shop in Alexandria months ago? I went the next day and bought it. Yes! That's awesome. Nick told me that somebody bought it that watched my video. That is awesome. That guitar is so good. I was so close to buying that guitar. But I didn't, and I'm glad you got it. That is awesome. That was a really cool guitar. Sounds so good. Did you put heavier strings on it? When I played it and when it was in the shop, it had extra lights, which were just a little thin. I thought it had more bass hang out in there. That is so exciting. There's also a guitar. Well, I guess before we jump into the guitars, another thing that I wanted to talk about was that. What is it? So on Sunday night, I flew down to Nashville because I'm now working with Gallagher guitars. Now, when I say working, I'm a contractor, and we're strategic partners. I believe in their guitars. I'm going to help them with their website and their marketing and their media and their social media. And so you're going to start seeing a lot more interaction between me and Gallagher Guitar Co. on Instagram. You'll start seeing more of their guitars, with me. And so they're a brand I really am excited about, and David is a really great guy. And basically, I'll be starting the first half of what I'm doing is all the marketing and media stuff, just kind of getting their life, all their stuff together. And then the second part is going to be, I'll eventually be more in a sales role. And so I'll be just leading to, because I'll go to straight commission after a while to where I just get paid if I sell stuff. And but I think it will bring life to what I'm doing here. It will also bring stability that I can get out more. To buy more guitars and to get out and about. Because those are my favorite videos to make. Those do the best. Those always do the best. Me interacting with people and getting out and about. Not that I didn't plan. I didn't start out to do demos. I don't hate doing demo videos, but it wasn't plan A. Plan A is be around people, be around guitars. And, pandemic has made that weird. But I've now been doing YouTube full-time like as my gig for 2 years, which is crazy. Now I still need to grow, and I still need things to go well. Like I need more people to download my course Write Guitars Faster, and this feels like a plug, but I think just in the honesty of where we are and what we're doing. Today, as we do this, you'll see some skills, and you'll see skills that you don't have, or you'll learn things you don't know, and a lot of those things I will teach you, and you don't have to feel embarrassed about those. I will teach you how to check out guitars, to assess guitars, to know the market value, to know how to sell that guitar, to the context and a lot of the information around that. So, anyway, yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, Jansen, I think you messaged me like right after that. That was like 4 years ago when I bought Norm's D18. Actually, we were talking about the Gulf Coast of Mississippi earlier. I bought this in Diamond Head. That was a cool guitar. I really liked that guitar, and it was amazing. It was interesting. That's my first video that actually kind of took off. And I chopped out a huge amount. We probably talked for an hour, and he just told me many crazy stories. Chris King says, Gallagher is a great company, and their guitars are phenomenal. Love my new Doc Watson. Oh, that's so good. I've got a video coming out on Monday where I'm comparing two of the brand new Doc Watson signatures. It's kind of a shootout video, and it's a comparison of two different versions where they do like a 3-piece back on one, and then there's a little different bracing inside. But yeah, that's a little spoiler for the video coming up. The out and about videos are outstanding. Keep them going as frequently as possible. Yes. So in order to do that, I need two things to happen. So one, remember on the live show on New Year's Eve, we did a live show, and I had to cut that video short because in that video there was a car wreck in front of my house and someone hit my car. And so now I got an email from Geico that my car is totaled. It's an old Subaru. It's like a 97 Subaru, so it would not take much to total it. But it now means that I still have the Subaru. They offered me like $200 for it. So they paid me out. I still have the car. I can fix the taillight and all that. But I now have a chunk of money. I went and test drove a car this morning before the snow started here in the valley. I don't think that one's going to work out. I mean, used cars are so impossible to get right now. But to get out and about, I need a more reliable vehicle. The Subaru I have now, the alternator is going bad. And it's just one thing after another. I put a new radiator in it. I put new brakes on it. I put new tie rods on it. I put new tires on it. And it's just this like never-ending string that we're pulling of, it's $300 here, $400 there, in a car that I paid $900 for. So anyway, all of that to say, I am now looking for a used car so that I can when I get a different car or a new car, I can get out and about and buy more. The other thing is in the next couple weeks, I'm going to relaunch the Dream Guitar Challenge, and I think I'm going to aim towards, I don't know, I got a couple dream guitars in mind. I know what I actually want. I want a 50s Southern Jumbo or Country Western. Either one of those. I just love those, and I wish that I owned one. Every time I'm in a vintage shop, like I was in Carter and Gruen this weekend, and I played both, and those are just tip-top of my favorites. And they're just a tone that I don't have in my guitar collection right now. So what did I drive to Nashville? I ended up flying to Nashville this time, which I thought would be easier. But it was still, by the time I left here, drove an hour to the airport, flew 2 hours to Atlanta, sat around for 2 hours, and then flew another hour to Nashville, and then took the 20-minute Uber to the house. I mean, I was at like 7 hours of travel time. So I was only about an hour ahead of time. Now, given I didn't have to drive, and that's okay, but it was more my car was at the body shop getting the getting the whatever appraisal. And so it was just cheaper for me to fly this time, especially because the other option was take our Excursion, which gets like 13 miles to the gallon. So that one just seemed awful. So anyway, didn't drive. I ended up flying this time. Just bought a Subaru Crosstrek. I would have bought a Lambo, but I'm not quite there yet. Yeah, me either, maybe Pagani, get his Zonda, something affordable. So yeah, those are the other thing is I need more people to buy my guitar course. And I don't like saying it that way, because I know that it's incredible. It's a thing I'm really proud of, and all through the process, I was like working with my assistant, with Skylar, and with Dylan, just like, hey, is this good? And neither of them are guitar players, and both said it's really cool, it's really helpful. And then like Tom and Daniel and Craig and a bunch of people who've gone through the course. Andy has gone through it as well. Daniel Hurley's gone through it a bunch. There's a bunch of people that have gone through it, and the course is really good. So anyway, $147. I might do a coupon code or a discount to get people in, because I'd like to start kind of opening it and closing it to run it through cohorts, so that I can kind of walk through the course with people and be around for it. But anyway, because that's the goal, is for me to get out and buy a lot more guitars and be around a lot more people. Because that's my favorite thing, and that's really my personality. Like, I just love that stuff. So, anyway, cool! Josh, or Rich, I'll get with you soon. That's awesome. I'm excited. Sold your 97 Subaru for $2,500? Had it for 17 years. What? I mean, mine's rough. So mine's 235,000 miles. And it's it's had a ton of work done to it, but there's some rust, and there's some the keys broken off in the tailgate. There's all kinds of like wonky stuff to this one. But anyway, the Orlando Guitar Shows this weekend. That's right, I heard about that. And also the Bluegrass IMBA. Is that what it is? What's it called? The Bluegrass Show is happening in Nashville this weekend as well. Todd says, just got a new J45, took it straight to the luthier, and got a bone nut, bone solid pins, and he slotted the bridge. Plays like a cannon with EJ17s. 17s? Intense. I'm not a medium guy. I'm a 16 man. That's awesome. That's a killer guitar. Okay, so, with all of that, one of the things that happens is I edit so much of the video of myself talking. One of the things I take out all the time is me saying, so... All of that to say, all of these little tools that you use to communicate. Now it just leads to abrupt transitions. Now, let's do another thing. Let's do a thing where I show you a guitar and I want you to tell me what you see, and we'll build out an idea of what is this guitar, what things should be wrong with it, what things should be good about it, what model is it, what year is it. And so I'll help you. I'll give you all the info, and then you guys just answer questions and figure it out, and I'll walk you through the process when we get stuck. No! Tom's missing the Orlando show. Yeah, nothing like Chicago in February. Wait, when's February? January. But especially when you're not at a guitar show in Orlando. But all right. Let me show you. We'll save this one. All right. Tell me what you see and ask me questions. It's trying to focus on my face. Yeah. Tell me what you see on this guy. Rasmus! Hey, buddy. How are you? Just kind of checking in. Like, we're just getting started on actually showing off guitars. So I'm showing guitars, and I want people to tell me what they are and what they think and what it's worth and what questions you would ask. Yeah. So Jake says a Gibson L6. You're not far off. Right body shape. Right color, a lot of right things, but this one has a pickup. So you got one volume, one tone, trapeze tailpiece. It's a semi-hollow. Has top hat knobs, long triangular pickguard, 3-tone burst. If you get in close, this is a Brazilian bridge. Now another question is, Yes, it is a Brazilian board for sure. It's going to be hard to see. The back of the headstock. So 3 single line cloisons with bright shiny buttons. This is a maple top. Sorry. Yeah. And then also, it's going to be hard to see, it's also maple back and sides. Has a broken string as well. These knobs are all like frosty. So, is that a string sticking way up? Yes, it is. Broken string on this one. So, if someone says, hey, I have this old guitar for sale, what do you think it's worth? And what do you think it is? What do you think? What is this? People have said an L6. People have said an L5. How can you tell it's Brazilian? So, it's going to be really hard to show here. But, let's see if I can get... So, in that bridge, can you see the really dark, streaky... So, it's brown, like Indian rosewood, but this has way more dark streaks to it. The other thing is in the bridge, so you'll see more like, it's more purpley almost. So on Brazilian, regular Indian rosewood is more uniform. It's more just brown. There's not really any dark black streaks. Where in Brazilian, like serious black streaks through it. Hey, perfect. Yes, this is an ES-125. Now, I can't show you because I just don't have the right lens and there's no way to show you. But I can tell you. ES-125. And then there's an FON number. So this is a V6167-34. V is the FON number on this. So this is about $2,000. So that's what Bassanova is saying. So about $2,000 in ES-175. Yes. So this is a 19. I believe this is a 55, and there's a 57 back here. Maybe the other way around. No, this one's a 57. But I want to say there were a couple things that I hinted at. I didn't see anybody pick up on. I know these came from a friend, and you mentioned playing them off the jump, the way he had left them. But why haven't you cleaned them up at this point? Because I've been gone. I got these guitars, and then I jumped on a plane the next day and went to Nashville. So they just sat here in the studio, and I've done nothing to them. Like, they're still dusty and dirty and grimy. The other thing is I'm going to make a video about everything that's wrong with these. And so I figured the angle that would be more entertaining for all of us and more helpful is to I'll show you some of, things that I would look for and walk through. I want to hear what you guys think and see as you look at these guitars. So as I look at this guitar, the big things I pointed out, 1950s Gibson. I know that it's 1950s right away by a couple things. Number one, the logo is very 1950s to me. That really kind of orangey color, that orange coppery gold color. Brazilian bridge, Brazilian fingerboard. Both of those are very 1950s. And then if you look at the VFON number at the beginning, I believe that's 1955 or 1957. And you bet your buns we are, buddy. I don't know, that's a weird thing to say. Yes, we'll look at the LG-1 here in a couple minutes. So, this is a 1957 ES-125, and so the main questions to ask, the things that will always be wrong on a 125 or any old Gibson is, does it have a neck crack? That's probably the first thing you should ask. And so look for finish work and look for a neck crack. This guitar, amazingly, does not have a neck crack. It is like perfect and wonderful and does not have the smiley face crack down here. This is a good, pretty substantial neck. This is a really comfortable neck size. This one, both of them, they don't actually The jack is really dirty on the other one if you saw that video. But yeah. So would you reach out to Gibson to confirm that FON number or year, or is there a website you would use as a concrete year? So Gibson, their own website has it. You can also get, hang on, it's in this stack of books. Another book that is incredibly helpful is this. So this is Grun's Guide to Vintage Guitars. This is an old one. I believe there's an updated version, but mine ends in like the mid-90s. Yeah, this one was published in 91. And so this one doesn't have anything newer than that. But if you look in here, you'd go to Gibson, headphone Fender, Gibson, you go to serial numbers. The thing that is so helpful about this book is that it starts walking you through like all of the tiny details of like what the nut width should be and what the bridge spacing should be and what years they did which finishes. There's tons of little details in here. Hey Max, hey buddy. So going back to the FON number. So if we go in here, so V is 1956. All right, so 56. I think the other one is a 57. Yeah, so this is an ES-125. And so, yeah, the batch codes or the batch numbers, these are pretty reliable. These books, you can find them for nothing. I got this one. I gave my original one away, and then I bought out a guitar collection a couple of years ago, and this was in there, so I just hung on to this one. I mean, they have made hundreds of thousands of these probably. And so they're pretty affordable. You can get them used for a couple bucks. Between this and the Vintage Price Guide, both are really helpful. That one's under too many books. But I do think that most everybody should have one of these and a copy of the Vintage Price Guide. In Write Guitars Faster, I talk a ton about how to find the value on guitars. I talk about this, I talk about the price guide, I talk about the reverb price guide, all of their benefits and shortfalls, and how you kind of need to know a lot of them. Like if you're going to be a guitar collector, you need to know more than most people you're buying stuff from. Caleb, hey buddy, how are you? Darren Jones, hey, how's it going? It's great. We're just talking about, we just finished talking about a Gibson ES-125. We talked about serial numbers and how to figure out what year they are. And, yeah, one thing that's interesting is I've had a handful of people reach out to Gibson directly to ask questions about, I think my guitar is this year or whatever. And, many of them have reached out saying that Gibson isn't actually that helpful. They don't know that much. And what they're doing is they're just looking at the same books that we can look at. So, anyway. Jeff says, Brazilian rosewood has been declared an endangered species. Can you ship out of the States? I've heard that if not older than 100 years, it's risky. I don't know. I've heard mixed reports because it was on and then removed from the CITES treaty. Say that 5 times fast. CITES treaty. But it's still, yeah. So without a CITES cert, it would be difficult. So yeah, but I mean, it depends on how you're. Like, if you are traveling with a guitar, they're not like it is very, very improbable that they're going to stop you and say, "Is that Brazilian rosewood?" I know that that's a D28. They just don't know guitars well enough to know what's what. Because the truth is, like, there's other industries that are entirely, just as impacted. So, like, you look at tortoiseshell in vintage jewelry and vintage hair products, like hair brushes and all that kind of collector stuff, antique stuff. There's lots of tortoiseshell that's illegal. There's a lot of ivory in there as well. Yeah, you have to be careful with ivory. Yeah. T-Bone, yeah, hit the like button. Yeah, hit thumbs up if this is helpful. And, yeah, so Brazilian bridge, Brazilian fingerboard on there. Now, there's another ES-125 we'll talk about very quickly. One thing I wanted to talk about before this. One thing I pointed out. Look at these buttons. Look how crispy and clean and new looking they are, and how they don't look like they are 50 years old. These are new buttons, and these were put on. I'm pretty sure I put these on. I remember, I did a ton of these way back. But the normal nitrous or the normal like Bakelite plastic that would have been the buttons on this would long since be toast. And so usually they turn to dust, especially if you have a guitar that looks like this, that looks like it's just been in a case for 50 years. It is a high likelihood that the buttons are going to be torn up. So look for neck cracks, look for finish. There's tons of checking on this. Nothing looks clean or shiny or new. And so that's a good sign that this guitar is old and well used. The other thing is look for a curve in the top on these. You don't want them to be slumpy, because then they get really hard to get the action. But the action is like perfect. This guitar, when it's fixed up, is going to be a just dead-on ringer, perfect jazz guitar. And I'll have this one cleaned up by the end of next week. Now these will all be for sale, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to put them all up at one time. I think on probably Wednesday, I'll do a drop where they will all be for sale. They'll all be ready, and they will not last long. And just if you get new ones, give 5 minutes in some ferric chloride and they'll look very correct. It's true. You just have to dump them in water afterwards. I know a guy from Czech Republic who makes tortoiseshell picks. Might be possible that I got one. Might be possible as it was $20. Might be pretty nice in the tone and attack. They are cool. It's just the ethics of it all. But I used to have a couple tortoiseshell picks that came from an old, there were old earrings, and then there was an old, brush handle for it was like a hog's hair brush, which that's also gross. But yeah. Save yourself the trouble with rosewood and buy local. It's true. Not much Brazilian rosewood grown in the U.S., though. 1967. Yeah. 1967 is the main shift, but brands like even Martin until 1969. And it's probably that those guitars were already in progress when the law changed. But you can see lots of 1969 stuff. Maybe not lots. 50-50 on Martins from 69 would have had Brazilian as well. Jeffrey says, Jeremy, you should remind your followers to check guitars stored in cases. Yes. Oh, man. I had my first instrument crack this week, my Pano octave mandolin, and I don't think it's because of humidity, because I've been in a constant war to keep enough humidity. I'm at 46% in here, hard-earned 46%. But yeah, when you have problems with the guitars, it's because you have too many instruments usually, and they're sitting around there in their case, and you don't look at them that often. But with my Pano, I think it's that I've been running really heavy strings on it, and I think it just said uncle. There's another. This is a. Let's see. What's the FON on this? This is a UV. So this is a 55. The other one's a 56. So this is a 1955. This one is much, much cleaner. Just look at that. Look how shiny this thing is. I also got a giant new light over here that is so big. But this one also no neck crack, but nope, these are repro buttons as well. Oh, that's funny. These have been sprayed with nitro to look like they're old, to look kind of cream colored. That's funny. They just have spray paint on them. I bet Warren did that, the guy I used to work for. This one doesn't have a strap button. The other one has a strap button. I don't think that affects the value. Brazilian rosewood, fingerboard, and bridge on this. Trapeze here as well. This one is shinier than the other one. But this guitar also, this one's just in better condition all around. So I would bet first one's $2,000. Second one's probably $2,500 because this one's so much cleaner. But other than that, they're very, very similar other than condition. I need to clean out the output jack on this one. It's just a smidge wiggly to get it to work. But yeah, that crack hurts. Right down that center stream there. Yes. I don't know what that means. There's a lot more Russian people kind of watching stuff, which is great. It's after that FERC video too. So this is probably my favorite of all the guitars coming in here. Actually, that might not be true. There might be one more. But tell me everything you see. Ask me questions. Tell me to show you things. If someone pulled this out of their closet and said this belonged to my grandma, what would you tell them? What is it? What's it worth? Who played these? What are the main faults with them? What are the problems that you should expect? It was a good shot. So, I just gave you a big hint. How does it sound? Does it sound big and warm and open? Or does it sound bluesy, soulful, boxy? Yeah. Does it sound a little more nasally? Does it sound really open and bassy? All right. Do these guitars have a truss rod? Yes. Everything that I've shown you so far has a truss rod. Gibson started doing adjustable truss rods in, I believe, 1933 or 1938. Yes. So, ladder braced, absolutely. Rasmus is straight on. So, does this have a neck crack? That's another question that was up here. Let me try and catch up. So, someone said an LG-1, someone said an LG-2, someone asked if there's a neck crack. There is not a neck crack. No neck crack. Now, are there any other cracks that you should be aware of, thinking about on this? Are there normal places these guitars crack? Jansen, I'll send you an invoice, buddy. Trade you even for your Southern Jumbo, or for your Country Western. Jason says, I'm having major humidity issues. I have a guitar that has formed a heel crack. Freaked me out, so I bought a hygrometer. Oh my gosh! Was it 10% in your guitar room? That's bad. That's really, really, really low. I hit like the high 20s last week and freaked out. And but yeah. So someone said LG-1, someone said LG-2. Someone asked if these have truss rods. And hang on. Yeah, buddy, sure thing. Ladder braced, undesirable, not as desirable versus LG-2. So here's a question for you: How do I tell? Is this an LG-1 or an LG-2? It doesn't say inside, I don't think. No, it doesn't. So tell me, what do I do? Where do I look to see if this is an LG-1 or an LG-2? So Jansen says, feel the brace. Put your finger right in there. Oh, there's a flat brace going straight across here. If this was an LG-2, there would be an X. So I'd feel a V. My finger would be able to go farther back into here, but there is a straight brace right across there. I doubt I'll be able to show you this, but right in here, you'd be able to feel that there's a brace right there. That's great. So, yeah, you can see if it has an X brace. You can look inside, and if it does, V-shape or straight across ladder brace. So this is a ladder brace guitar. That means that this is an LG-1. Now, there's 3 versions of this guitar that were sold for probably 25, 30 years. The LG-1 is like this, and the LG-2 looks identical. except it's X-braced rather than ladder braced. Those will sound a lot better, and better is subjective. This guitar, I feel like the way I've made peace with it this week is that this guitar sounds more like a dobro or a resonator. So my thought is, why wouldn't I just play it more like, I took it out, it's in standard now, but why wouldn't I do more of the, why wouldn't I like roll my hand up and get more of a like lean into that, lean into a dobro-y tone. Nope. Yeah, so you do something like that. So a lot of people prefer LG2s, and the reason why is that they're X-braced, they're more bassy, they sound more like a bigger guitar, they don't have that boxy kind of cocked wah sound. Yeah, so LG2 has X-bracing, LG1 has ladder bracing, absolutely. And this is an easy one, but it's tricky because if you see someone play this on stage, you can't look at it or you'd be, I've been that guy, let's be honest. I've been the guy that will walk to the other side of a stage so that I can look and see, hey, I'm just looking for your ladder bracing. And people are like, oh, do you like what song I'm playing? No, I'm looking at your guitar. Don't separate music. Yeah, I feel like we can objectify guitars and miss the music. That's a lesson I learned over and over. But LG1 sound muddy, but the Waterloo has made a reissue. Yes, my Waterloo's in the house. I love that guitar. That guitar is ladder braced, and it sounds amazing. So there's something in here that's still probably just over braced, or there's something in these that makes them still sound pretty mushy. And but a couple of things that should be noted on this guitar. How are we doing on time? We'll do one more of these, maybe two more. We'll do the P bass as well. But these are metal. That's unusual. They should be like the others. This guitar is, we didn't look up the serial number. Serial number is S850115. S is the FON number for 1959. So this guitar is a 1959. It's beautiful. Look at that sunburst. It's just such a good looking guitar. This guitar has, there's one crack on the top here. So the places that would normally crack on these big pickguard Gibsons, they're going to crack up here where the pickguard joins the body up top around the sound hole. They're also going to crack where that pickguard, that straight line on the pickguard, usually it's right under the E string. So this one has both of those. They both seem to have been fixed. Yep, this one's been glued and cleated inside. But, man, that's thick. It's probably 3/8 of an inch in the support here. So it's just a really rigid top. I bet this also has, that's where the bridge plate goes all the way up to here. So that's why this thing has like a 4x6 bridge plate. So that's why this thing is so boxy sounding. Now, there are some people that are modifying these. I've seen some builders, they'll take the back off of these guitars. I wouldn't want to do it to this because this guitar is so clean and so original. But you could take the back off of this guitar, and then you could re-brace the top to a really good tuned X-brace top. And these guitars become freaking fire-breathing monsters. And but you'd really change the value. Like it's basically like in car terms, that would be turning it into what's that called? Oh man, my mind's going blank on when you a resto mod. Yeah, like you restore it, but you also modify it. So yeah, that would firmly put it into resto mod territory. Jansen says the only played one LG1 and it was great. It's because it's less collectible means nothing. There's a clean 1950 LGO in Portland for $1,900 estimated value, $2,500 to $3,500. I think so too, especially for a clean 1959 with no neck crack. Now it does have swap tuners. These are repros, but you could make these look old. And they're starting to look a little old and tarnished, which is cool. I'm sure that we put these on at the Guitar and Amp Center in the mid-2000s. So they're 15, 16 years old now. Does have a strap button, not the end of the world. No cracks on the back, no finish issues, no cracks, no keys in the pocket crack. I always call this one down here. This is the keys in the pocket. You got your keys front pocket. You lean over for something to get something out of the guitar case, and you hear a pop sound. It's that crack on the side here. It's terrible. This guitar is really clean. No issues. This one should just be a quick restring cleanup, and it's ready to go. The mind is the first thing to go. Oh boy, if I'm 34 and losing my mind, I'm in trouble. All right, here is one of my favorite guitars. Now, this is a couple of years. Well, I'm giving away some tips or some hints. Tell me what you see. What is this? How much is it? Your friend pulls this out of a closet. Says, my dad had this guitar. Tell me about this. What is it? What do you see? Look extra close. Don't want to touch the ceiling. Oh, there's a microphone up there. There's a big one. So, all right, this one, double X. That's a good question. So the questions so far are double X, Southern Jumbo, Country Western. It's not a Country and Western. Country and Western don't have the sunburst, but same split trapezoid inlays. This is a Southern Jumbo. It's not a J45. It's not 1970s. This is 1968. If you take the serial number is back here, 511369. Let's double check that. 511. Ooh. Hummingbird with a different pickguard. Almost. It's close. Gibson. Serial numbers. All right. 511369. $1965 or 1968. So confusing. It's 1968. Yeah, so this is a 1968, so this is technically a Norlin era J40 or a Southern Jumbo. Now the biggest shift with the Southern Jumbo, look at these shoulders. Are they round or are they square? These are square, big old flat shoulders. This is one of the main markers that this is not what people would call like a golden era Gibson. The other big thing with this, look at that pickguard. You see screws in the pickguard. That is very much a late 60s thing. So that means that this pickguard is more likely to suck up noise, suck up tone. Anyway, look how chocolatey brown that bridge is. It could be Brazilian. But yeah, look how fair that fingerboard is. That's what gets me about this guitar. '68 J45, spruce top, mahogany back and sides. Yeah. Oddball Jumbo with the bridge flipped. Yeah, isn't that weird? Bridge is backwards. I mean, it's right way up if you're a Martin, but for Gibsons, it should be a belly up bridge. So things got weird. It's an adjustable bridge. Now, it is a Gibson, so the right question is to ask, is there a neck crack? There is not a neck crack. I don't know how none of these guitars have neck cracks. This is the most unusual thing ever to get this many guitars. Matt is so out of my league. Hang in there, man. You can do it. Yeah, there's a lot here, but, just get nerdy. And is it a narrow neck? That is the right question to ask. It is a freaking tiny neck. It is, look at that. I can, I can wrap my whole finger around the neck. This is tiny. Oh, I can't open that. If anyone has Canon cameras, oh my goodness. The chargers for the batteries on the big, like, pro-size Canons, like, once they finish charging, they make this high-pitched. It sounds like a TV, like an old tube TV turning on. Kills me. I just got these sound hole tuners, and I really like them. So these guitars haven't been played in 2 years. And it felt really important to me to kind of leave them as they were, as Clay left them. Ooh, that's a good sounding guitar. It's so tight. Like, it's a very narrow neck. So, Brian says, unfortunately, 2 Gibson guitars are old, but not a popular model. Yeah. But, I mean, kind of all 3 of those they're old, but they're not necessarily super desirable. LG-1, wish it was an LG-2. ES-125, wish it was a 175 or a 225. Yeah. If those are LG-2 and a slope shoulder Southern Jumbo, it might be worth 1.5 times more. Yeah, for sure. I think if this was a round-shouldered Southern Jumbo, it would be worth $6,500. I bet this guitar, as it says, is probably $2,500, maybe $3,000. Now this guitar does have a crack on the top. It does have an adjustable bridge, which is fine. It's good that it's original, but this guitar would sound so much better with a better saddle in it, with a set saddle. This guitar also does not have a broken neck, which is insane. The action is still great. There's plenty of room if you needed to move the adjustable saddle. The action is great. The neck is tiny. So that's the thing, is this wouldn't be a fingerstyle guitar player's like right pick. This would just be a bar gig. Yeah. Yeah, it's just so tiny. But yeah, I like this guitar a whole lot. And Zach, hey buddy, how are you? Yeah, had a 1960. So Sam had a 1967 Gibson B25N student model, buzzed like a bee and needed bracing behind the bridge. Sold it and bought a limited edition Taylor E14, which suits me so much better. That's a good move. B25s are basically the LG. There's also the LGO, which is below that one. LGO then became the B25. They leave so much to be desired because most of them have plastic bridges. They just don't sound that good. They buzz a lot, and they would have these screws that would come loose, which might be what happened when you're talking about it buzzed so bad. They had screws that held the bridge on, and the nut would come loose on the back, and then they would like buzz inside the guitar or rattle. But yeah. It's just so tight. It's so jumbled up. I bet I could get used to this guitar if I just played it over and over and over. Jeremy! So Sean says, Jeremy, really need your help. I have 4,000 pounds to spend on a vintage guitar. Help! What will go up in value? I found a 1974 Les Paul 55. A 1974 Les Paul 55 special, one owner. It's tricky to call vintage guitars investments. I don't typically advise that unless you are really into something. So I would say you have to find something to really become an expert in. Know everything there is to know about, but the problem is everyone else is also experts on Les Pauls and bursts and juniors and specials. I would pick something a little different than that. Yeah, I don't know. Book some time with me on my website. I can help you kind of walk through how to figure out what you're into. Like for me, I'm into old Martins, old D18s especially. Those are the ones that I just love. Old Gibson acoustics also get me pretty well as well. Looking at my ES-125 now. Yeah, you got a lot more going on, and blink for $50 more. Yeah, the 125 is cool, but it's just they're so mellow. Like they only have that P90. They're a full body. They feed back. They don't get that loud. You don't get that much distortion or overdrive out of them. But at the same time, if you're playing the right kind of music, like thoughtful indie, spanky big reverb, play through a twin, yeah, I could see it being amazing. Like look at she plays a tenor version. She plays the ES-125T, but look at Amanda Shires. Amanda Shires just freaking rips on an old ES-125. If you want it to be an investment, you have to be impulsive and mostly right. It's true. It's really hard. Really, really, really hard to do. Which is a scary place to be. And it's a very hard place to even find yourself. Because chances are you're going to pick wrong. Because think about it, and I don't know how old you are, but I know for me, I'm 34. I was right in my heyday of selling guitars when the crash happened in 2007. And from 2003 to 2007, especially matching headstock, weird custom color Fenders just kept, they were doubling in price every couple of years. They were $3,000, and then they were $6,000, and then they were $12,000, and they were $18,000, and then. But what happened is they would be sold to a player or a collector. They would get it, and then they would want to sell it and find something else, and so then the shop would buy it back at a higher price, and it just continued to ratchet up. And then all of a sudden the housing market crashed, and dealers, for the most part, were caught holding the bag. And sure, they made money along the way, but all of a sudden they have a huge, they have $40,000 tied up in one shell pink Strat or one Daphne Blue or whatever. And so they were the market. Guitars just aren't reliable investments because what makes them valuable ebbs and flows and changes. The big thing now is pick your favorite celebrity who's pretty close to kicking it. I was thinking about, should I sell my 1970 Martin D41 knowing that Neil Young is probably going to pass away in the next couple of years, or Stephen Stills, or Graham Nash, guys who played D45s, and when they do, it will be, those prices will shoot up. One, that feels kind of dark to be betting on someone's death. Feels pretty dark. And then the other one is just realizing there are more variables than the guitar itself. There is value, and that's the thing, is nostalgia is the most expensive thing on the market. So anyway, you're 24, and the $4,000 is me and my wife. No, don't spend that, man. No. Don't spend your life savings on a guitar. There are many better things. I would, one, get out of debt. Get rid of credit cards, get rid of debt. Then pay off. Once you pay off all your debts, get 6 months of expenses in the bank. Then start working on. I'm just walking you through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. You need to have a better plan than that. Get out of debt, save money, plan how your money's going to get spent every month. Yeah. Musically, those artists died decades ago. Yeah, well, Neil Young's back in the news this week. For better or worse. He got himself into a pickle. You want a bass or you want a classical? Emergency fund, not guitar fund. Guitars can take a while to sell. It's true. Yeah, if you need money and all of a sudden you have a pile of guitars, you're either going to get money fast or you're going to take a huge hit on the value. So they're only valuable if you don't need to sell them, is the way to get the most out of it. Let's do the bass. All right. This is a pretty bass. Tell me what you see. Your friend pulls this out of a closet. Says, my grandma owned this bass. Stop focusing on my face. I really want you to see all of this checking on the edge. Look at all that grain in the back, too. All right, let's see if this will work. I have not played bass. I'm a bad bass player. Actually, I just... Yeah, I'm not much of a bass player. The checking the mark of authenticity, that's true, for sure. It's hard to fake. And it's hard to fake the way 70s P basses and the 70s finish like just chips up. Like if you touch it too much. So there are a couple things that are, oh boy. So that is a riff. My friend Nick broke up with a girl, and he wrote a song called "Miss You," and it just was going. So that's the riff that I wrote. I haven't played that in forever. That's funny. Anyway, I'm getting lost. I haven't played this one yet. But, okay, so let me turn the amp off so that it's quiet. So, okay, what do we see on this? I don't see a serial number. That's one of the biggest problems with a lot of Fender electric instruments, basses and guitars included, is that the serial number and all the information you need is kind of hidden inside here. So without taking it off, yeah, without it, you know, you're just kind of stuck. So let's look at this let's look at this bass from top to bottom and see what we see. So I see big nickel-plated tuners. I see a very black decal. And this is the P-bass decal. Very 1970s. If I had to guess, I'm guessing this is a 71. I haven't confirmed that. There's no serial number on the plate. There's no serial number on the bridge. The bridge may be swapped. I'll have to look at what these look like, but this one doesn't quite look right. I can tell that there was a cover on this, and there was a thumb rest that's missing. There's 2 holes here. The finish is checking and looks great. So, without taking the neck off, you don't really know. You could take the pickguard off, and yeah. Oh, really? Okay, yeah, it probably is. Whoops, sorry. When I was in high school, these were everywhere. Cool guys played a jazz bass. I've always wanted a jazz bass, but P basses, they just seem to find me. But, yeah. So, this one also comes in an original case, like an original Fender case, which is really cool. It doesn't have the Fender logo on it, but it is actually, might not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is or not. But, anyway, what a sweet P. Yeah. Yeah, Mark, you know basses way more than I do. It's going to sound odd, but sometimes these older basses just smell old. The wood has... It does, man. I mean, this one, it smells like an old case. Like that kind of mildewy, like, old glue smell. You know, all just good nostalgic smells. This one, now, there is kind of a joke that bass players... that bass players always get their... they just never change their strings. Seems to be true, because these, man... very dead strings on this. And bass strings are so freaking expensive, like $40. How much is a set of like just regular Ernie ball bass strings now? I bet it's $40. But this one is very cool. I wish it still had the thumb guard, so you could... Well, I'm going to play bass until my fingers hurt later tonight. So good. Anyway, yeah, so with this one, I'm thinking this is an early 70s P bass, total wet finger gas in the air, as I'm betting this is a $2,500, maybe $3,000 instrument. It needs to be cleaned up and cleaned out. Also, it has chrome hardware that the chrome plating has come off, and it's shown this like really gray, matte gray kind of finish, pitted chrome on top. So they moved in the 70s. They moved away from a lot of nickel hardware, as you've seen on older stuff. Then you move into Then you move into chrome for pretty much everything. But it's also interesting. This is a translucent finish, where a lot of them would have been opaque finishes. So this is a really good, high-quality instrument. I don't think they did red until the late 70s. So either this was a custom color, possibly a refin. I don't know. I need to dig into this one. I don't know basses very well. But trust me, I only have a bass. Is that true? You only have a bass? You're Caleb the bass hunter. 15 to 20 for strings? Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad to be wrong on that. All right. Well, we've gone an hour and 10 minutes. And so with all that said, I want to show a couple things, and then I'll hang out and I'll answer just a few questions. Once again, this course is brought to you by Write Guitars Faster. Most of the skills that you saw used here, the how to use a price guide, how to use a resource, how to research a guitar, how to know market value, all that stuff. If you feel like you don't know enough about what guitars are worth or how to sell guitars, how to take pictures, how to write good descriptions, and if also you don't know which guitars are actually right for you to stay with you, to be in your guitar collection, check out Write Guitars Faster. There's a link in the description down below. When you do that, it is a direct way that you help take care of me and my family. I am not at risk of becoming a wealthy man doing what I'm doing, but this is really cool, and it really helps me out when you guys check that out. Another thing is, down in the description down below, you'll find the link to my top gear at Sweetwater, and check that out. So, yeah, Write Guitars Faster, guitar-hunter, .teachable.com, 19 videos, 6.5 hours or so. You can do it in a couple days. You can do it in a day if you're crazy. But yeah, it's the best thing I've ever made. So check it out, and yeah. Come back over here for comments. We'll do 5 minutes of just questions and comments and slanderous remarks. In the year 2020, now, what year is now considered vintage? Well, if you ask the gatekeepers of the vintage guitar world, they would still say 1968, probably. They would still say like 70s are modern guitars, 80s are modern guitars. But if you ask like a vintage car guy, they would say 25 years. Like 20 years is classic, 25 is vintage. So by that metric, let's talk about it. So by 20 years, 2001, holy cow, 2001 is now classic, which means my Crate GFX 212, solid state 120 watt 212-inch speaker combo that will rattle your teeth loose, it's so loud. That thing's now classic, which is awesome. I paid $80 for that thing. And yeah, so 25 years ago would be what, 1996, 1997? My Subaru is now a classic. Yeah, so I would, at the same time, I wouldn't call, vintage. I wouldn't call like a 97 Martin D28 or an HD28 or whatever, I wouldn't call that a vintage guitar, but by the definition, by that word, so we're now getting to where the vintage guitars that people told us were vintage 25 years ago are now very old. They're now antique. And that's the thing, too. In the 90s, you could play guitar from the 50s, and it wouldn't be that crazy. Like, and you could take it with you. You could play it at shows regularly. You would still take really good care of it and be cautious with it. But now, it's like in the 90s, you couldn't have played like an actual pre-war Martin, like 1930s, 1938, a 39 D18, because you'd be a maniac. Because that's an antique guitar. It's so old, and they are fragile. So, anyway, I say 40 years or older. Like, are you 40? So I'm vintage. Yeah, I'm classic. I'll take that. Yeah. 70 Strats have gone crazy high price, and I'm just in England. 10,000 for a 1970? Well, it depends. What year? Does anyone know this? What year did we go to 3-bolt necks? Was it 73, 72? So I think in 70 and 71 they were still 4-bolt necks, which that's a better neck design. 3 bolts. That's the other good point. Oh boy, having to search my memory. Did basses go to 3-bolt necks as well? Epiphone FR25 with a botched neck repair. They're still cool, and as long as you can get around it, if you can own it and live with it. But I'm sorry, and sometimes you can fix neck repairs. I have a video about the worst repair I've ever paid for was a guy in New Orleans. Still looking for a broke 0017 late 30s 1940s that you can repair. I'll keep looking for you. Have you checked out that channel? What's their name? Check out Stay Gold guitars. They're in like the Southwest in the U.S., but they like are buying lots of old guitars and taking the backs off and re-bracing them and stuff. Hey man, any thoughts on current production J45 versus the competition? Thinking about picking one up, having played a 2021 model recently. I've owned 4 modern, like in the last 10 year Gibson J45s, and I've liked all of them. I had a true vintage from 2005. I have to go back and look at that video, what year the true vintage was that I owned. I actually preferred the J45 Standard. I just think it's a really good guitar. I wouldn't have any issues. I would be okay with those. And now, as far as competition to that guitar, the Eastman E10. Now you're moving down in price. It's not made in the U.S., but the Eastman E10s are mind-blowingly good. Gallagher are expensive compared to that. You'd be in the 3s to get a round-shouldered short scale. Iris. I think that Iris guitars, their DF, is better than any J45 I've played in a long time. Now, the downside is that they're satin finish. I think you can pay more and get the Relict gloss finish, but I would look for an Iris DF. I just think that's a better, if you like a J45, it's that, and it's more, and it's louder and has more vibrancy to it, and just plays like a great guitar. West Coast Rage, everybody, good to see you, man. About a year ago, you did evaluating a friend's 70 or 71 D28. Then you said it was worth about $2K. What do you think the value is today? $2,500 maybe. They're still pretty undervalued, and lots of 70s D28s, they just play hard, and they don't look that good. They're very milky, like kind of hazy looking in the finish. The 70s, for whatever reason, lots of guitar companies just were making bad guitars in the 70s, and Martin is definitely in there. So that's a good question. He thought I was low. He ended up selling it for more than that, and I was really surprised. But he also sold it to a friend who knew the guy who owned the guitar originally. So that's where it's like there was some nostalgia added on there. I still think, if you look at eBay completed listings, I mean, who's trying to buy 70s D28s right now? I think it's a handful of us in our 30s. But I think mostly it's guys that have always wanted a D28. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to get myself a good guitar. And like they're going to buy the oldest that they can still afford. So I think the value's coming up on those. But I think the buyers on those are paying more for nostalgia than they are for the actual guitar that they're getting. That's a really good question. I like that. That's fun. That's fun to see you like from then to now. That might actually be more than a year. That was probably 2 years ago because that was my neighbor Jay. That was when I was still making videos in my basement over there. Evan says, I have a dream of owning a rad vintage guitar shop. Yes, you should. In it, I think it would be cool to have a space for vintage parts where people can come and build their own vintage parts casters. Buddy, that's a killer idea. I love that idea. That's so cool. Would that be in Texas? You going to do that? Do it and invite me. I'll come hang. I love MIJ vintage guitars like Ibanez, Morris Takaharu. Yes, absolutely. My favorite made in Japan guitar. Sorry, just out of frame. Like just over here, like 20 guitars packed away because all of these came in here. But this is still my favorite Japanese-made guitar I've ever owned. This is my 1985, 1986. The bridge says 86 or 85. The neck says 86. So we'll go by the neck. We'll call it an 86. But this is my pink paisley telly. I have been meaning to make a video about this guitar for 6 years, and I'll probably do it this week. So. Well, I think if you just loosen up what you call vintage, if you'd get like, because look at the parts you can get for so cheap right now. You can get 70s, 80s, 90s, like the Goto tuners, the Schaller tuners. You can get the Mini Grovers. Then in the pickups, you can get all of those like Tex-Mex, American Standard, the 57 pickups. I mean, you could do it. You could, I mean, it just wouldn't be 50s and 60s, but you wouldn't want to do that with that stuff anyway. But yeah. Have you ever ordered guitar parts from Bitterroot Guitars? I haven't. I've seen them around. Never ordered anything. Is it good? Bad? Should I check it out? Should I not? What do you think? There's a blue paisley Strat or Telly on Baya, and they're asking big bucks for it. Buku bucks for it, of course. I haven't been on Baya. I need to check it out. Oh, Mark, I think we're going to come down in March for like 3 weeks or something. I think we're going to come hang out in on the North Shore in Louisiana for a bit. I'm losing all hope of cold weather. I'm tired of it. Can't do it. It's snowing outside today, and it hasn't been above freezing in a while. But, so when did Martin get back on the track if not the 70s? 1984 is when they really got their shit together. They started putting truss rods in guitars. They fixed their finish and got back to really good finishes. They got away from, I mean, the 70s Martin cases to the brown cases in the 80s and the black cases. They just got better. They changed their neck angle as well, so their guitars didn't need neck resets as often. So yeah, 1985 was really like a come to Jesus moment for Martin. It sounds fun. Let me know if you need a cajon player or jam. Yeah, man, it'd be fun to hang out. Go get a beer somewhere. I got a bone nut for a jazz master from them. Beta Root from John Prendergast. Cool. All right, gang. Well, that's the end of this live show. We went through all 6 of these guitars. Well, I guess we missed the classical, but it's a Spanish-made, handmade classical that is really hard to tell. Let's do this one in 1 minute. Spanish-made classical. Somebody says, what is this? What's this worth? And you say, I don't know, because I know nothing about classical guitars. But what you need to know about this guitar, this one is handmade in Mexico, has a Spanish heel. So if a dovetail joint is the thing that everybody wants and they will pay more money for in old steel string acoustic guitars, a Spanish heel, which if you look in, it looks like a foot where the neck connects. There's cobwebs in this guitar. But it's an impossible task trying to see it in here. You might be able to kind of see it down in there. I don't know. But this is a Juan Huipe, Huipe. So it's rosewood back and sides, and then it's a very tight spruce top. Has really fancy tuners on it. And this one actually sounds... I don't know the second part of the riff. Anyway, it's a good, comfortable guitar. Big, wide neck. Sounds really good. Has just a little bit of finish checking starting. But yeah, I'm going to take this one over to my friend Chris, who is just a wizard of classical guitars. And I've been meaning to make a video with him for a long time because he's just such a great... he's such a great guitar player, and he knows so much about classical guitars. So, anyway. Cool. Well, that's all I've got for today. Any last questions? West Coast Ray, any chance you're coming to the West Coast this year? I'm working on it. I would like to. I don't know. Yeah. So Mike, I have this whole kind of West Coast tour I would love to do. So Mike Adams, Pusheen, who's in Portland now, he and I, we've never met in person, but he is one of my favorite people. We just like get each other in a really deep way. And so he and I text a lot, and we've been talking about doing some stuff together. I've also talked about heading out that way because I want to come out to Oregon and see Jansen. I also want to go out on the way out. We have family in Montana, in Bozeman, and Idaho. And so I'd love to go through and see Tony with, Tony Policastro. He and I have texted kind of making plans or hopes and dreams. And so the world's kind of opening up, or it opened up and then it closed up and now it's opening up again. And we're gonna get out and about. So I really hope to make it to California. Griffin Strings in the Bay Area is one of my favorite guitar shops out there. I've never actually been to Los Angeles, and so we hope to change that this year. So 2022 is the time. It's the right time to head west. So anyway, this was super fun hanging out. Thanks, Rasmus. Thanks, buddy. Hector, have you ever played a Quattro? I have not. So a Quarto? Quattro? Oh boy. Anyway. All right. Hit a thumbs up. Check out Ride Guitars Faster. And if you want time with me, schedule that. There's a link in the description down below, or you can also go to jeremytheguitarhunter.com/contact. And you can schedule time. We can do a video call. We'll hang out and I'll answer your questions. And you can tell me whatever you want. So, all right. See you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. This was really fun. And I'll see you later.